We're live, buddy.
Maley Christmas, everyone. I am that Zero. Welcome back to Cap Race, episode 39 of the Last Cloudia podcast. I'm joined, of course, by my lovely associate here, DK.
What's going on,
How's it
guys?
going, man?
Pretty good,
And
pretty good.
beautiful. Jawline was not able to make it today for one reason or another, so it's going to be the two of us chilling, hanging out, having a great time. Christmas is upon us, and of course, that means we get a new Christmas waifu. As you can see on screen, we get Saintly Maley this time around, which is pretty awesome because she's one of the more interesting and out there characters that we have. So getting a Christmas unit for her is really fun, and I like it a lot. I was not fortunate enough to get her, but DK, you did get her, correct?
I did, yes. Yes.
Beautiful. And you've been having some fun with her, or
I
haven't
have.
really had a ton of
No,
time to
no,
play
no.
around?
I've actually been playing with her a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
She's
okay,
like
cool.
yeah, she's one of my favorite female characters, so it was pretty cool to get her early on. I wasn't gonna go crazy for her, but luckily my luck has been absolutely insane since since the New Year's. I mean the anniversary event.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been insane.
Nice.
I need to throw up my video for my polls. I mean, I know it's like super past due, but they're really interesting on how a lot of the polls have been lately. But yeah, I did get her, so she's a lot of fun.
Nice. I did roll for her just because I also really like her base form just as a unit in general. She's
Right.
weird and crazy and just cool all around. So I wanted to get her, but unfortunately, fate did not favor me.
Not
But
over yet,
I
man.
yeah, I only had so many anyway. I thought for a split moment that I might have had her off login tickets today.
Really?
I it bumped up to red, and then it gave me a unit animation, and instead it was a G Luke.
Are you doing your daily summons?
No, I don't go that far out for like paid and stuff. I don't do that shit.
Tetsu actually got her on a daily today.
Nice.
Yes, I was like, "Oh shit, it's real, man." And it's funny
Yeah.
because on the last day of the Tails collab, I did not have the last arc for
Yeah.
Yuri's banner. I got it on the daily single, so I was like, "Holy crap, man!
Cool.
These dailies are insane." Um,
Yeah.
so
It just adds up.
right,
I'm
right.
not gonna put that much forth on paid. If I was going to pay that much that I could afford to do daily singles,
Mm,
then I'd just do normal summons so I could at least get credentials and get special gear too.
there you
You
go.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I get that 100%.
But anyway, wasn't fortunate, but I still have some cool information. She seems really cool. I played with the NPC a little bit. I've seen some other people's research on her and such. So I feel like I have a decent feeling for what she has to offer at least. So we'll
By
go ahead
any
and hop in here.
chance, real quick before we start, did you look at the NPC's build? Have you ever looked at Adis's builds when they do these units?
I have looked at some of them. I just know usually they like to stack up, you know, cap increases and stuff just because it looks cool for people to grab.
Right. Yes.
I didn't look specifically at Melee's. I would assume that it's got her paid. It's
Yes,
probably single
it
wheeled, I
is.
would guess.
It is 100% single wield.
Okay.
It's only
Yeah, I
2
mean,
weapons. It's actually both her paids, I think only, nothing additional.
okay.
But yeah, it is a single wheeled build.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Which I'm sure on paper looks great because it's probably like over 50 or 60K
It
caps.
looks fun. Yeah.
I'd imagine,
I would
you know.
assume
So
that it's the reason why they did it is probably the big numbers. Like, oh my god, look how hard she hits.
yeah, it
Let's
just
go
looks
spin,
cool.
spin, spin.
Which I'm fine with. I love that they've been
Yeah,
doing the super juiced up units. It's great.
yeah.
So I have, no complaints about that. I love that they do that with the NPCs.
Yeah,
So
no, seriously, like Yuri's build was stacked. I kind of made it. I wanted to like just copy it to see how well it did, and it was pretty interesting how they decided to do Yuri. But that's actually the first time I actually looked at their build. I was like, wait, like, can we look at this? Can we see what they're using? And then yeah,
mhm,
I was like, oh
mhm,
shit,
totally.
you can look at what they're doing. That's why I wanted to look at how they built Melee. Whenever I used it, I was like, whoa, 52K, what the hell? But yeah, we'll get to that here shortly.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and do the overview.
Yeah, for sure.
So God type, just like her OG form, great. 8K HP, roughly the same of like medium high ish. Strength high, defense high, mind reasonably high. Uh, yeah, all kind of stock standard. I feel like these are the stats we generally see on physical DPS at this point. I don't
Hmm.
think she's doing anything crazy at all.
No. Mm-mm.
Resistances, resist to ice and dark. It's nice to get the little ice in there just because of she's a Christmas unit, and then a little weak to light. Surprisingly, not tanked on light, which is cool. She's not like a -30 or something. That could be
Mm.
way worse.
Yeah.
So not mad at it. Ailment, she notably has no weaknesses, which is cool, and then a resist to blind and nil to silence and curse. Definitely not mad at it. Could be much worse. Yeah, I don't got much. I don't got much more.
Yeah.
In general, pretty decent overall. Skills: Pain Wraith, charge and deal frontal medium area dark combo attack. So as you can see, obviously dark unit. So right now, as far as DPS go, I would say Thouser and Joker are the only dark DPS we have. So she basically gets pit up against them as far as quality goes, if you care about, specific attributes of DPS units. So this one, as far as I could tell, it has one of those weird targeting cones where it can be like semi-long range if you have perfect line of sight, or if you are relatively close to them, you can kind of go at an angle to charge at them.
Hmm.
But basically, kind of like Thouser's, actually, his like gap closer, she like charges, hits behind the enemy, which means you get some like backstab damage, and then she does like a front flip back towards the front, kind of like what Stan does, except instead of switching sides, you start on the other side and then come back around the other side, almost like the Attack on Titan units.
Right.
So kind of a neat S1. Yeah, generally pretty good. Instantly close the gap for a medium area dark aerial combo attack, chance to give exsanguinate. So my understanding is this is about a 50% chance, which on an S2 is really nice. And also Bloody Tree, I'm told, is only 20 SC, which means with just skill charge 2, you get this wave 1. So that's pretty sick. I really, really love when units do that. Joker, notably, is another one of those units that you just need skill charge 2 to get his S2 right away. So that's really nice. And unlike her counterpart that only had exsanguinate on her single target alt and her single target S3 at the end of it, this is on her S2. So applying exsanguinate, which is throughout her kit to make her better, is more accessible on this version of her, which is cool. So I like that. And the fact it's on the gap closer makes sense too, just because that's logically usually where you're going to start a boss fight. So you're probably going to dash in, and then you'll get the debuff, and then you can go and start doing your other attacks, like Fanatic Present for S3. Frontal wide area, medium dark combo attack. Give Pandora's Box debuff to one target based on the content of the present buff. And then you lose the present buff. So we'll get into what that actually does when we get into her traits. But basically, she gets a buff on
Yeah.
herself. And the short of it, without getting too deep, is she can use that to buff a single ally or apply a debuff to a single enemy. And so the S3, it drops a present on them in a big AoE. You do have to be pretty close to initiate it, almost melee range. And then instantaneously, as soon as you do damage, it will apply that debuff. You don't have to wait till the end or anything like that. Like first instance of damage, it will apply that debuff, 100% chance, which is really cool. Which means for the duration of that skill, you'll get what that buff offers. And it just works out. So good stuff there. I've been told pretty good wide AoE on this one. If enemies don't fuck you up, it can be used to insta-clear IGC3 at a semi-consistent rate. About as consistent as like Christmas Lilibet, who could probably do it with like an 80% success rate. But like if somebody happens to move like just out of range or something, or you happen to target something wrong, it can be bad. So I haven't tested that myself, but I have been told that she kind of can work for that, which on a new account, having anybody that can do it is pretty nice. So good stuff. Sweet Calamity. Powerful dark combo attack against all enemies, chance to give exsanguinate debuff. Again, this is, in my opinion, just better than her old one, because this hits all enemies instead of one, so you could apply exsanguinate to all of them, which is pretty excellent. So I like that. As far as I know, it's a pretty high chance. I don't know exactly what the chance is, but I know usually when I've seen it used, it usually applies it to everybody. So I'm guessing it's probably like a 75% chance or something.
Yeah.
So pretty good. And the damage is okay too. I don't remember exactly how many hits off the top of my head, but I remember it being a pretty fair amount, maybe like 40 something. So pretty decent. Traits. Sadistic Sanguine Scythe. Axe equip, dark damage plus 40%, and damage cap plus 8k. And if you're hitting attribute weakness, boost that up by an extra 5k damage cap. So 13k if you're hitting weak, which is not usually that hard for you to hit if you're using her appropriately. You can use some debuffs to get people down into that dark range. We've got lots of ways to do that these days. So overall, really nice on that trait one as far as damage boost and getting some cap raises. Also notably, it's not just tied to physical. So if you wanted to do janky things with like magic or arc damage, or her special gets boosted by this, all that stuff it all works out because it's all just generic damage. So I always love whenever we see that, because it just kind of opens the door for things, whether it's not now, maybe even tools in the future that could be used to benefit that. So, and I also like when they do things like this, like the bonus for being weak. It just encourages people to be playing better.
Right,
You
like
know?
lower resistance and stuff.
Yeah, like just pay attention to those things because you can have better DPS if you pay attention and play right. Use debuffs. So, and then when enemy has exsanguinate on them, crit rate plus 5% and damage cap plus 4k. I mean, I'll take some free crit rate. That's not too bad. You won't see this all the time because you need exsanguinate, but
Right.
as we said, she gets exsanguinate easier than her old form did. So, not mad at that at all. Pretty decent. And plus, usually we've been seeing, like, as long as she's got a fair amount of other crit in her kit,
Mhm.
you could probably get her up to 60, 70, 80% crit rate, I'd imagine, without too incredibly much trouble for like Icy Guardian builds and stuff.
Yeah.
So, that 4K actually can come in kind of handy, especially because none of this is tied to single wield, so this can all be multiplied by dual wield. So, great. Maley Christmas, great name, by the way. Battle start, restore skill 3's SCT 12 seconds, and give unit present buff. So, we'll see later on she has skill charge 3 as well. Her S3 is exactly 32 SCT, which means between that and her trait, wave 1 she automatically gets to drop an AoE present on people, which is just great quality of life for people. Like, SCT is usually hard up, especially on like newer accounts, and like that just helps out your wave clear so much. So I like that they did that. It's pretty great. And she gets her present buff, which we already saw you can apply with her S3. There are two types of present buffs, Fury and War. These are given at random based on skills that are set. Lose present buff when giving an ally the buff with "You want this box?" or when giving the Pandora's box debuff with skill 3. A set time after the present buff lost, re-give present buff. Okay, that was a paragraph because Adis likes to do that. So let's break this down. Let's pull up skills quick. So what are Pandora's Fury and War? So one mode, one thing that can be in her box is a buff/debuff that increases all attribute damage by 4k. So all attribute means anything except no attribute damage. That means it could be specials or arc damage or magic or physical. All that shit gets buffed by 4k. So that's if you put the debuff on an enemy, that means your entire team gets plus 4k caps, which compared to our other cap raises, that's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at units like Sarah is one of the only other units that can do all attribute to be able to like buff special damage and shit.
Yeah.
And on basically wave start, this is double what her effect is, which is only 2k. And further, if you could manage to regain that present buff and then buff an ally with box debuff at the same time, or I'm sorry, with the present buff, at the same time the debuff is on an enemy, one of your allies could be up to an 8k damage cap, which pretty silly for some of our units that could really, really use that. Whether it's like an ult from Alice, or magic damage from Lennius, who's got dual wield and stackable magic, or even herself, who she could put it on to be able to just get 8k extra caps. So there's some potential there. It's pretty cool from an enablement perspective. The other one is War. So as a buff to one of your units, damage taken, minus 20%, and similarly, the damage dealt by a boss, down 20%. So cumulatively, up to minus 40% on a single unit. I don't know how often we would really want to play that hard into damage reduction. I have a feeling most people would probably just turn this off so that it always is damage caps consistently.
Yeah.
But it did say you cut the time based on what is set. So the way this works is on wave start, you have a 50-50 chance whichever one of these is in your box. You can see on your unit, you get a buff. It's very clearly indicated you have either Fury or War. So then when you apply a debuff or a buff, you'll get that effect. Now, when you give that away, if both of these are set, you'll have a 15-second timer, and then you'll get another present buff at random. So 50-50 chance every single time. Every 15 seconds after you lose it, you will get it back. Or you can double that duration by turning one off. So if you want to get rid of war, because you don't care about damage reduction, we just want to do big PP damage, you could just have this set, at which case it'll take you 30 seconds to recharge the next box. So the cost of consistency is getting that second one back takes more time to charge, which means it's a little bit harder to be able to stack up both a buff and a debuff, but that's what you pay. Or you could just use RNG, run both, and hope you just luck into it and get it 15 seconds sooner. Now, the buffs and debuffs last like normal buff durations, which is good, so 40 seconds. Now, the buff can be extended with anything that extends your buff durations. So arcs that have like plus 50% buff duration, such as Stardust Live, Velte Org, I believe Eternal Clock has a 35% increase. So things like that, any of the gear, all those can extend the buff duration to make it easier to have the buff and debuff overlap. Now, the debuff itself is actually a triggered debuff. You don't cast it, so there's nothing, you can't use things like Panterbane in order to extend the debuff time. That doesn't work because you're not casting it. It's triggered. It's a triggered effect. So you cannot extend that. So if you're trying to do something where you're stacking these, I suggest doing the buff first, because then you could have it extended. And then at the 30-second mark, you could potentially have maybe 30 seconds left on the buff and then a fresh 40 seconds on the debuff. So then you could have them stacked up like that. So just be aware, that's a little thing that makes sense but is slightly annoying. So in general, though, I think for most of the time, you're just going to use the debuff because it gives the effect to your whole team. It's instantaneous at wave start, and you can easily maintain it. Like if you think about 32 SET in order to charge your S3, this lasts for 40 seconds if you do nothing else, and you automatically get one of these back every 30 seconds. You can guarantee maintain 100% uptime just on having this 4K damage debuff on the enemy, just by playing the game normally, pretty much. You just throw an S3 when you got it, and when you got it, without doing anything fancy, you're going to keep reapplying that buff. So I think that's how most people will probably use it, and for that, it's pretty easy to do, and it's got more longevity than something like Expat's buff, which only lasts 40 seconds. So, cool. Did you have any questions on how some of those all worked, or any of those mechanics?
No.
Pretty good?
Yeah, no.
Cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and get into the rest of her skills then, since I think her traits are pretty well covered. So, Critical Phaser and Giga High Shaker. So, I think these are the only kind of misses in her entire kit. It would have been really nice if you just had auto crit for free instead of one of these, or if she had like an actual usable debuff. But for right now, I don't think any of us in any content whatsoever use Shaker,
No.
like the debuff Shaker. We just don't.
No.
It's not that necessary. There are niche cases in PvE where you might just be like, oh shit, why did I randomly get one shot? Well, it's because PvE enemies can crit too, but usually we'll just build so tanky that it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And we'll just get around the fight that way. It just means I need to be tankier. So yeah, I don't love that. I think those are
my
kind of
biggest
useless.
gripe on our kit.
Yeah, just not that great.
No.
You want this box?
Auto
Oh,
crit.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say auto crit would have just been
infinitely better.
Yeah.
So much better. But oh well. How it goes. Can't be perfect.
No.
Right. You want this box. So again, this is the unique magic she has, cause 0 MP. And that just lets you, instead of using your S3 to apply debuff, you can instead give the buff directly to an ally. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Some basic
and you kill an enemy, right, to get it back?
Yeah, we'll get down there. It's down in her skills more here. So she's got basic Proud Force sustain, so crit up 2 and Proud Force. You know, we usually like to see the more inefficient ones, but hey, we'll still take it for free.
Brute
it's
Slayer.
fine. Yeah, Brute Slayer and special boost.
So
you always
good.
love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we saw that on expat too. It's just great quality of life getting that shit for free. So yeah, always good with that. Auto Brave, Auto Protect, Auto Haste. Cool. Good free stuff. Again, would have been really great to see auto crit in there. Would have felt so good, but oh well. Awaken for free. Yeah, nice. So that will give you some of those other buffs when you get weak once per wave, which is pretty nice. And that'll help your Proud Force a lot too. So her self-sustain should be pretty okay for the most part once you get her kit unlocked. So that's nice. Pride 2, keep her max HP. She's stronger, yay. We've got Mega Drive, Attack Rays 2 and 3, and Dark Critical Rays. I love that they gave her Dark Critical Rays just to help out, with that free 5% they gave against Exsanguinate.
Mhm.
We talked about if they stack enough for free in here, then it can be much easier to run something like Icy Guardian, which is generally highest DPS for most units at this point, and keeps getting more and more dominant because it scales with how big damage caps are.
Yeah.
So as time goes on, Icy Guardian just keeps getting better and better as opposed to URs that give like 3k cap. 3k cap is just like trash bin compared to Icy Guardian these days now. Like it's not even remotely close. It's not even close because they keep boosting cap raises. Like you almost need
Yeah.
like 6k cap for dual wield to make it worthwhile, And even
Like
then it probably doesn't keep up.
everything's
Like,
pursuit these days.
yeah. So I mean,
Why
Icy
not, right?
Guardian.
It's like extra damage. And
Yeah.
a large amount. And then we're getting the extra boost now, including like I'm just waiting for extra boost 2 to come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna get pursuits are just gonna get better and better and better as things come out. So
For sure. Yule Feast, big money here. I mean, Pirate Feast is one of the biggest things that we pretty universally, if a unit doesn't have it, we almost always put Pirate Feast
it's
for
been
9SC
pretty
on a unit.
rare actually on Pirate Feast. I haven't seen it
Yeah,
on
we don't see it
units.
often. We certainly don't see it often. Yeah, so I love to see it every time that we do get it. So fully restore all your stocks. So that first wave, you get an S3 for free. If you really wanted to, you could get an S2 for only 3 SC on wave 1.
Mhm.
But then every wave after that, you just have full stocks across the board. So
I
love
mean,
it.
honestly, if you didn't have Pirate Feast originally on this unit, and then you had auto crit, you would still use the 9 for Pirate Feast. So just use the 9 that you
Yeah.
would have used for Pirate Feast on auto crit or fast
Yeah.
crit, depending on how fast you are when your waves.
Yeah,
Really.
for sure. Yeah, depending on context, you definitely want faster auto crit on her.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, if no other reason than just to help out Proud Force for sustain to keep you max HP, but also if you're actually running max DPS with Icy Guardian, obviously you need a crit source. So
Definitely.
Goddess Kiss.
Good.
I mean, her OG form was one of the best Goddess Kiss units as far as just slapping super hard. And from what I've seen, she retains that. Like it's really easy to see like 800-900 proc Goddess Kiss hits. So you're just going to be filling up max with Goddess Kiss. Pretty low effort as far as I'm aware. So another good one. You don't need it in every build, but there's a fair amount of time you do want it, and it saves you 11 SC to get it for free. So I'm happy to see it. Plus speed as well. I hate paying 8 SC for this, but I love to get it for free. So, yeah, cool. X Mega Boost. For anybody wondering, no, she's not a breaker. It's here because they made her thematically use an X.
Yeah, just comes with the
So it's a
territory.
damage boost with more damage cap. So, yeah, take it for what it is. Ultimate Boost 3, cool. So her AoE special hits a little bit easier. Neat. We talked about she has Skill Charge 3. That works really great. The fact you don't have to teach her anything, just unlock nodes, and she has so much SCT support built in is really, really nice. So I really love that. There's a bunch of stuff that was on our older units. So we've got Goddess Advocate. So basically Royal Armor that stacks with Royal Armor. So 50% chance to not take a crit. And then also your skill and special attacks against non-boss and arena enemies have a chance to insta-kill. So if things are really, really damage spongy, you can still kill them anyway. So cool. Bloody Makeover, basically Blood Force, except for skills, if they have Exsanguinate on them. So 10% chance to absorb damage as HP as long as they're exsanguinated on all your skill attacks. So good sustain as long as you're making sure Exsanguinate happens. Fatal Flash, again, more for Exsanguinate, just ignore 50% defense. Much easier to cap. You love it. We already talked about the Fury War buffs. Choose how you want to use those. Bloodstained Suit. Damage taken from enemies with Exsanguinate buff, minus 30%. That is no insignificant amount. That is a lot of damage reduction.
Yeah.
So I like that. Between that and then if you also decided to keep War on, like if you wanted to go all out and just tank like a really, really big hit, you could potentially between these two here, a debuff, a buff on yourself for present, and then the Exsanguinate debuff, you just have minus 70% damage on you. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good on a dual wield unit. Not bad. Speaking of which, notably, she doesn't have dual wield for free, which makes sense. She only has one scythe. But generally, you're going to want dual wield. Goddess Kiss is going to be more reliable. If people haven't noticed, her unconditional caps are about 30k. If you start applying her buffs, as well as some of the really easy conditions to hit, like making things weak, for example, she can get upwards of about 40k, I believe, if not more. I don't have the exact numbers on me, but yeah, it gets pretty high. So good stuff. Definitely when you got dual wield going on, that's it's going to be slapping. You'll be my toy. Execute physical damage plus 30%. Dope.
Yep.
Damage cap plus 6k. Oh hell yeah. that's pretty big for a dual wieldable unit. And then the big one, when defeating an enemy unit, if unit doesn't have present buff, just get present buff. So this is really nice because it means if you want to start the wave with that S3, you can apply the debuff to boost your cap, kill the thing, and then if you killed something with it, you get it back so the next one you use is still going to have it, and then you can keep reapplying that buff.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in, say, a boss wave that has a bunch of minions on the board, you can apply a buff to an ally or herself, kill one of the little things, instantly get it back, and now suddenly you're stacking up the debuff and the buff at like 5 seconds in or less.
Pretty awesome.
So yeah, so in the fights where you can do that, that gives her a really easy out to get around the waiting timer involved in how her passive works. So I think that's great and really well thought out. We've seen a lot of these units where whenever there's either like a chance or however you apply some sort of effect, it's on like the final hit of a skill. But I love that this is like you apply the debuff with the very first hit of the skill. That's really great. Snappy. Make sure that it works. Even if you get flinched out, you still got the debuff to happen. And then if you kill something, you get it back right away. So there's not like anti-synergy there, which we've just seen on some other units. And it just feels like they thought her out decently well, which I like. So yeah, that is the kit in general. So my overall thoughts on the unit. Hey, mobile gamers, thanks for stopping by, man. My overall thoughts on her is that she's a really good dark unit. She can be flinched out of all of her attacks. None of her stuff persists, as far as I know.
Yeah, be careful with that S3.
Yeah.
If that present drops and you get hit, it ends the whole animation.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure all of hers do. She can absolutely get knocked out of all of her animations.
Yeah, it hurts the most when that nice little present drops, though. And just.
But I know the homie Odium was doing some damage tests, and I usually feel pretty confident in his. I usually don't get much for incorrect information out of him. He usually looks at the max peak potential of everyone and then tests them in a vacuum for DPS clears and things like that. And between her damage caps and honestly slower animation speeds, especially S1 and S2, really slow overall, S3 is clearly her best DPS skill. Mm-hmm. So when using something like her S3, her DPS is about on par with Joker, which is pretty good. Joker obviously has other benefits in the fact that he's actually got persisting damage. He's got his Lost gimmick to make him push even further beyond. But in a vacuum, just being used as a straight up dark DPS, they're about comparable, which is pretty good. And that also ranks just behind some of the recent DPS units. Obviously, we have the new wave of DPS power creep in Adele, Vayne, Luke, Stan, Yuri's up there as well. And I believe Joker, I think, is just behind Yuri, and that's about where she sits. So in the grand scheme of DPS, if we eliminate the last like 2 months of units, she's extremely high up there for DPS. You know what I mean? But she's just not going to compare to like Vayne and Adele and all those guys. They're just a whole nother breed, and she's just good enough. But she also gets to enable the damage for the team. So as an overall package, I think she's really great, and I think that they thought through her really well. So, and there's this cool Christmas cake with teeth, which I really like. Did you have any comments on her in general, overall?
No, man. You pretty much nailed it. Yeah, it's a pretty easy kit to mess around with. Like you said, man. The biggest problems was the non crit, auto crit, and like honestly, if that was the only, if I were to change only one thing about it, it'd probably be just that, and I think her kit would be just fine. Not every kit's gonna have super armor, obviously, so flinching out is kind of a thing. You just gotta play it, correctly, and know where to place her or whatnot. But like that was one of the first things I saw myself whenever the present did drop. I was like, okay, ICG, that should be actually pretty good. But I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to target a specific person to make sure you hit everybody. Um,
Yeah.
so, but
What would have
yeah,
been really nice, like, my biggest wishes for her, like, I know a lot of people wanted her to have, like, dual wield. In my opinion, like, obviously, it doesn't make any sense. She has a single scythe.
yeah,
So I think what I keep saying is it feels like this is just Ada saying, "Hey, don't forget, Sandworm does matter."
yeah, yeah.
And, like, that's pretty much it. But,
Uh,
yeah, auto crit is a thing, and I just really, really wish that she came with an actual debuff to play on the Dark Week. So she could have come with something like just Giga Week
yeah,
innate.
right.
Or what if she came with like a Giga High Week, which we just don't have in the game? That
Yeah,
would have been really cool. I think it also would have been cool if she had like her own debuff, and it could have been something like Creeping Chill, and just
yeah.
gives like it's like a unique debuff that gives like -20 to
That's exactly what I said.
dark and ice. Like
Yes.
dark and ice -20 would have
Minus
been so
20.
sick.
Yeah.
Even a -10, it could have been like a 20-second debuff for a -10 to both of those,
Hmm.
and that I would have been excited about,
Like
as
Gaze at
opposed
the
to
End
like
is only on
Giga
one
Shaker.
arc. It would have been nice to have it built into Christmas because all the Christmas have somewhat kind of unique skills every year.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that would have
like
been cool.
it would because she does have some kind of debuff. So I was like, why the fuck didn't she come with like some kind of Gaze at the End? Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And that would have been a cool way as well to value her war debuff more as well.
right.
So if it was something like, hey, the buff or debuff is like, hey, as a buff, it gives like plus 20% damage, but as a
Hmm.
debuff, it gives -20 to
Hmm.
like dark and ice in addition to like reducing the enemy's damage, which would make sense. Like
Right.
they're basically getting evil frostbite, and so they're attacking less effectively and they're more susceptible to your attacks and stuff. So like I
Definitely.
think that would have been cool. But right now, like if I do luck into her, I'll probably just use the DPS buff. I'm just going to use
Oh, absolutely.
Fury all the time.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, 100%. I don't,
how
honestly,
it is.
when I actually built this, I don't think I turned mine off. I didn't. I do have my war buff on. Let me turn it off real quick. But yeah, I honestly thought because when she, whenever they first announced her, there was like all this talk about who it was. I mean, it was going back and forth, back and forth. I mean, people were like set on
I mean,
Lily, people were set on Maley,
yeah.
and it was just
When
funny.
they showed, I was pretty set on Melee. Like it
Yeah,
didn't. I think people had some heavy copium if they thought that it was
the
like
blood on
Lily
the
or
hip
even some of the
was
others.
like the
Yeah,
number one thing. The blood and the bone finger were like the two number
yeah.
one things.
And
Uh,
also the weird pose too, I felt
yeah.
was also somewhat telling. Like I
Oh,
just
I couldn't
couldn't
tell
see
you other
somebody like
posts.
I I couldn't see any. I couldn't see Lily in that pose at all. It looked just so weird. It looked like a fake
Yeah.
human,
Mm,
which is like Melee's all like bending her body in half and doing crazy like
that is pretty.
acrobatic
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, there's no fucking way it's anybody else. I would have been mind blown.
That's Sky.
Um,
Is that Sky kind of look like Mel's a little bit? Now I'm like looking at
a
the
little
Sky.
bit. So
Yeah.
okay, I mean, so in general, I think that Shift or Christmas Melee is a way of Adis telling all the Melza simps this is as good as it's gonna get. Enjoy. Like Christmas Melee is
Yeah.
the it's that middle point between like, hey, people wanted a
Yeah.
melee shift and people want Melza shift, but you're not going to get it. So here's your copium answer. Pretend that it's Melza. It's
Mel's
basically the same thing
yeah,
because like
right?
they could have totally just called her. This could have been Shift Melza with different art and had the same exact kit
Yeah.
across the board, and she would have totally passed as Melza,
Yeah.
100%. Probably even more fittingly than Melee. You know,
Yes.
like absolutely.
Yeah. No,
She's literally
there's been
Shift
a
Melee.
lot of talk
Melza.
about Melza in the main court. I've been kind of like catching it, a little bit here and there. I'm like, man, there's some people are really still on the Melza train,
Yeah,
man.
people like her.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this Dark Sickle Marius, and it looks like
Yeah.
basically, Melei's
So
weapon in her
as a
art.
side note, I know nobody from Adis probably watches this podcast, but you want to do us a favor, and if anybody does see this, can we get a fucking Godforge for this piece of shit, please? Um, can we just look at this for a goddamn second? So again,
What? Yo, I
216
think we're
with
all on
zero
the same
effects.
page. No, I know. I think we're all on
Like
the same
what?
page.
This is an AER that's just a shitty stat stick. Now let's take a look for a fucking second at what we got for free.
No, I know. It's pretty
Uh,
nasty.
uh, like, yeah, I know you know, but I'm still gonna say it anyway.
Do it.
So then we got fucking. Where's this shit? Why can I not see? Am I just blind? Um,
Wait.
where's the shit? Why
Is it
can't
the
I see it?
gun? No, it's not a gun. Wait, what are we?
It's not a gun.
Oh
It's
no,
a
the sword.
scythe.
It's a scythe.
Yeah, it's
Where is
another
it?
scythe.
Where
We
is
got a
it?
scythe. Yeah, where's my shit? Hold on.
Oh, you got jacked. It is jacked you in the second that you talk shit.
Apparently. Wait, for real? Did I not buy it? Oh, maybe I haven't bought it on my main yet.
You probably just looked at it.
Oh yeah, I probably didn't get it because I
There's
prioritize
a
Prism.
bunch of expensive stuff in
Here we
here.
go. So this shit. So like 40 less strength and 8% physical damage and some HP as well. Like
Yeah.
this shit's just miles better than that AR. Like
Yeah.
get that shit together.
It does need a
Come
buff
on.
bad, man.
Yeah, fix your shit. All right. Anyway.
Oh, people out,
So anyway,
man.
so this thing though,
Yeah.
a good amount of strength and HP, generic dark damage plus 20%, and caps plus 2k, and regular attacks have a chance to give exsanguinate. So we saw this on the old Maley as well, which she needed that exsanguinate debuff on weapon more, just because we talked about it was much harder to get exsanguinate because it was so
Yeah.
limited. It, from what I've heard and from what I can assess just by looking on paper, it seems like this is less of an important effect because she can already do exsanguinate pretty reliably.
Yeah.
But in general, yeah, I mean, plus damage and caps, this is just a solid weapon all around. So we get it. Seems pretty good. Obviously, I wouldn't go out of your way to go spend like $60 on it. Though
No.
I will say they did the general pool pricing for her. So you can do the basic step up, and then the next two 10 pulls are only 1,000 and then 2,000. So that first weapon only costs you like 40 or $45 instead of like 60 to 65.
Everything
So
is
it is,
heavily discounted. Even the
yes,
pity's discounted.
yeah. So
Because
it is cheaper than
Mhm.
usual to get her pays. So I think that's cool.
And you're actually combining both medals from both banners. So if you don't have Maley, Saintly,
Good
Theria,
point.
or the Arcs, you can actually, by the time you pull, after you're done pulling the discount banners, if you do the paid and then you do the step up, you actually majority of the way through a pity, which means that you could probably snag the Arc or unit for a little bit of a cheaper go, like overall, just because it is a general pull step up, which is insane.
Totally.
Yes.
So something that would have been really nice to see. It would have been cool if they did what they did on the collab redux
Yep.
and made it so that all this older stuff was only 10
Godforge.
creds.
And Godforge, yeah.
And Godforge would be
Yeah.
cool too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been really nice if the three that were here were discounted. I mean, like 10, 10. This could be 20 for anybody that
Like,
wanted the
come
Black
on,
Santa
Ace. No
coat.
one's gonna buy that stupid coat. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
Hey, no
it's
one's
so
gonna spend
bad.
50
It's so bad.
creds. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Have a
it's
garage
so
sale
bad.
already. Come on. Now. Like,
Okay, so I have mixed feelings on this one. So accessory.
I don't care for it.
So pretty good stats overall. Plus 10% skill damage, which is more or less like the baseline for a good accessory damage boost.
Mhm.
Boost move speed, I assume 1 or 2.
Mhm.
Either way, I like it for free. Like at base, this first line is basically Mithril Relief,
Mhm.
but except unique, which is nice. But then also a physical and magic damage taken minus 10%,
Yep.
and then a free stun res as well. So like all across the board, like that's pretty good.
The sunrise is nice.
So the important thing, though, in my opinion, that sets this from being like, okay, this is nice. I wouldn't
Mhm.
spend money for it, but it's nice.
Mhm.
The Christmas units and like basically all seasonal units, they get new sprite artwork if you have stuff. So this one changes your sprite art, and I will say it's the best sprite art change that I've seen, and it makes me want to get it.
Oh, the
Like,
green?
like if I had it. So it changes her to be like more of a green outfit, but it also changes her scythe color to be purple, and it looks fucking awesome.
It does look really cool.
It looks so good. So yeah, I don't think that I would like in general. Obviously, weapons are the primary thing to go
Right,
for.
right.
There are alternatives though. Like we even saw, like the free one from the event is pretty solid.
Mhm.
If you could only pick one and you wanted to just go for the waifu move, I wouldn't even be disappointed if anybody grabbed the accessory because it's pretty great overall.
Well,
Like
so you actually can't see my screen now, but if you wanted something similar on the general arc, Durandal Reborn, there's that palm calcumeter, and it actually, when a machine is equipped, if
yeah,
you're running Trish on her, you can actually get the move speed and the skill damage plus 10%, with that
yeah, sure.
accessory.
Yeah,
So,
you totally can. So it's like those, except it doesn't require a weapon condition, and
right,
it gives you damage reduction, and it makes her look cooler.
yeah. I
So
did see the green today. I haven't seen it until today, and I was like, oh wow, that is pretty cool.
yeah,
Uh,
the purple scythe is really stand out. Like they usually don't make that big of changes, but with
right.
how big the scythe is, like you make comparisons to Melza, well, how big her scythe is how big Maley's scythe is.
Right.
And so it getting a color shift looks really cool.
I will get
And
it
this
for
just
sure in Crimson, 100%.
yeah, and like just on paper, this isn't broken, but it
No.
is something that would never get removed because all of these are really good effects. Like you would
Yeah.
never replace this with any other accessory if you owned it. Like you just wouldn't. This is a best in slot item. It's just
Yeah.
not like crazy broken by any stretch.
And for some
So
reason, on Adis's terms, that physical reduction is super expensive if you were to spend SC on it.
yeah, and the fact that it's for physical and magic
Yeah.
is really nice. Like that would have been a lot
Yeah.
in general.
It's it's not a must have, but it's if you do get it, and like later on the Crimson shot in the next like year or so, it's definitely a must for her.
It's definitely not bad at all. Not mad at it. All right, arc time.
Yes,
Arc time. Top tier art. Thanks, Adis. Looks great. Love it for unknown reasons. Unknown reasons.
Yeah.
But no, the art is definitely good. I dig it. Stat wise, I mean, who cares about stats? But like strength and int is high.
Yeah.
HP is pretty high. Everything else is bottomed out. Cool. So X equipped. When only one weapon is equipped, light and dark skill and magic damage plus 50%, or only 25% if you're dual wield. So right out the rip, that caught me off guard when I saw that, because usually these seasonal arcs are like collab arcs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have good effects on them, or they're so niche that they're useless. That effect by itself, while niche, is really strong.
Yeah, 50%.
Like you could be dual wielding, just getting a free 25% damage boost, really good. Or if you wanted to single wield, 50% is a fucking lot.
It's a lot.
And the first thing that came to my mind too is like, we have the Godforge for AOG Lily, and her scythe has like 200% dark damage on it now, like 100% dark damage on it at this point. So you could do that and this, and like maybe she gets to a point where she can actually do like some magic DPS in arena, because like 150% damage is pretty crazy. So, you know, there's some cool stuff there. So I would like the arc just to simply play with that and see what kind of damage boosts you could get, because I could see some units being able to dish out damage that they couldn't before in a situation like arena, just because of that 50% being so good. So anyway, pretty decent. Battle start, vitality affects all allies, so that's just a minor HP buff, which I hate. I don't think that it's very good at all. And then damage cap plus 1k if they happen to be god type, which, cool. I mean, another place for getting some cap raise while boosting damage. Yeah. I'm not mad at that. It's not a big cap raise, but I didn't expect any cap raise, so why not? We'll take it. Not bad at all. All right, so Mimicry God, we've seen it before. Int and down evasion. We've only seen this for defense before, so that's kind of neat. It's really niche. There could be some bosses where maybe your mage is going to get debuffed, and it could be worth putting this on here. This is a really high chance, assuming it's like the defense one. It's like 75% chance to nullify those debuffs getting applied to you. So pretty good. Physical damage healing we've seen before. HP plus. I really like that they gave us that. Yes. I don't love that it's on a seasonal, but hey, if I got the arc, I would be excited for it. And they priced it correctly at 2. This is something that's just so easy to slot in. If you're like, I don't know what to put on my unit, I only have 2 SC left. This is just an auto include. It's so good.
Heavily use HP plus 2 still, so I mean that's hell good.
Yeah, HP plus 2 is still like one of the most efficient ways to boost your HP pool on like 95% of units. Like almost nobody has so much that like HP up 4 is better. It's just so good.
Perfectly priced it too. 1,000 for 4, 500
yep.
for 2.
Yeah, it's perfect. Speaking of things that are priced well, Infinity Drive and Infinity Boost.
Yes, bro. That was insanely priced well. I was scared. I was so scared. I thought they were going to put like 7 on that, or even 9.
I expected Drive to be like 6 or 7 and Boost to be like 5 or probably like 5.
Yeah. No.
And they didn't. No. They literally gave it to us at normal Drive and Boost cost. Which I guess, like, if we think about it, it makes sense they did, because the other one had 4 boosts and was twice the cost.
Yeah.
But I still didn't expect them to just make it be exactly the same. And Boost especially, like 3 SC for 10% for magic damage is really efficient, because we don't have good efficient boosts for magic. So like that's a big win. I like that a lot. That's super cool. Yeah, thanks, Adis. Nice job. I think in the last few months, they've been doing really good with pricing, except for in like rare instances where they just go way off the rails and really, really suck. So like of the last probably like 6 arcs we got, I think things have been priced really well, except for like the battle one from Fate. That
Oh,
one
okay,
had
okay.
like 2 that were just like kind of shitty, and I thought that they were just really off the rails and like, no, this isn't even close. But for the most part, they've been doing a pretty good job,
Yeah.
like better than their track record has been. They've been pricing stuff pretty nicely. So, Arc ETH reward.
I like this thing, dude.
I hate it.
like
Other
it.
than so, okay, it has redeeming qualities.
It does.
So its art is great. I just love this.
It's hilarious.
Like, dude, it's just it's so fun. That's so fun. I'd run it just because it looks
would you
awesome.
put your head in that little slot? I mean, bro.
It's so good. Hey, people are desperate enough; they'll put things in a lot of places, you know.
No, man, I knew it was coming.
Anyway, so at worst, that's still over 50 int and 50 MP. So regardless of effect, this is an okay piece of gear for like a major or support or something. You could just throw this on. It doesn't matter what it does. Some people don't have a lot of high MP stuff. We have a lot of options in the game, but some people don't have it yet. So if you get this, high MP source, great. Battle start, high chance for all enemies' strength, debuff, int, or mind, minus 20%, and all your allies to get a buff. They keep doing this for Christmas shit, and I fucking hate it. It looks good. It looks good almost, but then you read or, and you're like, never mind, this is a useless effect.
It was it's what's her
So
trait?
fucking
Not her trait. One of her traits, right? Tinky.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Isn't one?
What about
isn't that, Tinky has something similar to this.
No, I don't think so.
That's Tinky.
Shift.
Yeah.
Shift tank.
Tinky,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have her, so I only have base tank. I only have base tank.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so you have a chance to get these, which means there's nothing reliable, which means you can't rely on it in the slightest. So it's basically a dead perk, in my opinion. Even if the high chance means 100% chance, it still really sucks because it just means that at battle start, there's going to be a 4-way that you're going to roll a d4 and you're going to land on strength, defense, intermind, and then you're going to give that debuff to all your enemies. Same for your allies getting buffs. Shit's dumb. Just let us apply a mass debuff and a mass buff to your whole team and call it good. Like, just let us do the thing, Adis. God damn it. They did this before. There was like a present that we got or something. There was like wave start, get plus 30% to like strength, defense, int, or mind. And we're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, it's Lovely
Almost
Step from
almost did something.
A weaker version of Lovely Step, but you don't get the ally part.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I don't love it, but at the very least, at least they gave it the redeeming quality of 50 MP, which at base raises the quality of things, even if the rest is useless. So
yeah.
I can only be so mad at it. So it looks really cool, and it's 50 MP. Dope. Overall, pretty good arc. Like for seasonal, this is one of my more favored seasonal arcs, I'd say. I like this one a lot. And I love all the little chibi kind of style characters here.
Yeah.
From the main cast.
Game Master a little bit. Like a mix of Game Master and Holidays.
Yeah, it looks so good. I love it. It's very, very fun. And also, it makes me hopeful that we'll eventually get a Saintly Lily that gets a fork for a weapon, because that sounds funny.
Why does she have a fork? Like,
I mean, technically, if you look, that's her scythe, but for some reason, it's decorated as a fork. For
I see at the back.
Into the
oh, you're right.
So it is her scythe, but it's just got a fork attachment.
Even
you know,
that.
it's
no. I don't know. Good observation on that. Yeah, that's hilarious.
It's very cool. Very fun.
So all right. Okay. So first, I mean, you definitely have to do the 1,000 at least.
What? I don't like paying ridiculous amounts of money for some stupid shit.
Oh, how dare you,
dude! It's a chance at getting a character that's not going to make my account a significant amount better, and the RNG chance is so incredibly low still. Like, it just is. It's so low. So like, me going out of my way to go pay like an extra like $30 like for some chance, like, no. You wanna send some to my PayPal? I'll do some summons. Okay. Dope. We'll do it.
I was just talking about the 1,000 one. That's all I was talking about.
I mean, still, even 1,000 though,
$10 like it's like $10. A little over $10.
Yeah, so an extra $10 in addition to the $10 I already paid,
with the chance to get.
Am I wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong. No. I promise I won't influence you. I've been hanging
Yeah.
out with Duke a lot, man, and they're
But
bad, bro.
yeah.
They
But this is the thing though. Like you can get both of these, so $42,
yeah,
and that's enough to get a paid gear, which
right.
usually it's much higher than that. So that's pretty cool. Um, Still sucks,
Yeah,
but you know,
yeah,
it's better than usual.
yeah.
It's
No,
better than the normal shitty
right.
rates.
I mean, this is the
So I'm
same
down.
thing they did with Shift Leona. Um, so and I really liked that one, that the
Yeah.
banner that they did. And then this one shares the credentials, like I said. I said it's not the credentials, but shares the Actually, no, they both share the credentials, don't they? Both paid on hers and the paid version of them. Yeah. Yes,
Is
they
there
do.
paid?
Yes,
Yeah.
they
So it's
both
the
share.
same thing. So
Yeah, they
whether
both.
you pay on one or the other.
Hmm.
So speaking of which, so that was the Maley gotcha. This is
Oh,
another one. So
yeah.
those of you that are wanting expat, I would say this is probably worth rolling the dice on. Like 15k free gems, and it is RNG, so it's a 50-50 chance, but those rates are way better than any other odds you're going to get. So you
Yeah.
could save and potentially pay 30k to guarantee her in like Valentine's Day or something. But maybe you're already wanting to save for like Theria or something. If you pay 15k here and you win the 50-50, you made off pretty good. If you don't win the 50-50, you've only spent 15k and you get one of the two arcs, which probably has at least something on it that could be useful to you. And you'll end up with Saintly Theria, who has some niche application
Or
that's
you
not
can end up
very
with
good.
everything. So,
Or you could get everything.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
because on these
seriously.
steps, you could just get Lilibit on the first 10 spin. These are just legit spins with
Yeah.
rate ups.
Yeah.
So like I believe they're all on, 0.8 rate up standard banner. So you could get them in this 50 summons and then have a 50-50 shot at the end. So Sky, it costs double because there's only one.
Okay.
And that's how it's always been. If there's only one paid, it costs 50. If there's two, they're each 25. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
It just so happens that her one available is a super duper trash piece of crap paid.
Yeah.
Kind of like Zuglis. Kind of like Zuglis' sword.
But Zuglis actually has a glow hue to his sword, which I guess
It's
makes up, but I mean, it still sucks.
Yeah, that makes up for it.
Yeah.
Totally. 100%. Hashtag
It's
worth.
not even worth the 8,000 crimson, to be real here.
Yeah. So anyway, I do think that this is probably worth for most people if they wanted her. Now, why would you want expat? I should probably touch on that just briefly because people talk
100%.
about her a lot.
Yes.
I think people argue that like she's probably more excited than Maley in general.
Yeah.
So I won't get super deep into her, but as much as I'd like to.
I knew it was coming. I was like, what is he gonna say? Like, what is he gonna say?
That wasn't intentional, but I walked into it. So. Okay, so unique value she provides. She's massive quality of life for like PvP or PvE because of her season of giving. So battle start, she has the same logic as Spirit Maiden Theria, where she will look at all your enemies and say, hey, what's the most common typing that there is? Okay, great. Then I'm going to look at my strongest ally, so highest strength, and just give them the Slayer, so all physical damage, for the anti of that type. Which means on your main DPS, you can just run Special Boost and don't worry about Slayer swapping at all. And in general, you're always going to have the most ideal Slayer for the first 40 seconds of every fight. And then in addition, she also gives you an increased damage. So instead of just getting a standard 100% Slayer damage buff, you're getting 130%. And then you get an extra 3k cap when hitting that anti-type as well. So she's just huge. Yeah. So she's just a nice quality of life to be able to throw on a unit. Very easily to just like replace Tink or Sarah or something if you're only using them for a damage type boost, or you can run them all together. They all stack. All the boosts because they're all unique since it's a Slayer damage cap. So for core usage, that's a thing. Her S3 Christmas Cannon is a non line of sight AoE attack with a pretty large AoE. It's not Roy level, but it's like the next down. So whatever you could imagine is big enough to barely not hit every single thing in every PvE scenario. That's basically as big as it is. It's very close. Very, very close. So yeah, it's just really good for wave clear and such. She also has Yule Feast. She was the first unit with it, which is why we know it's so good, because Pirate Feast is great, and for wave clear, she's just awesome like that. And she's also a very crit-based character, so in things like Arena, having a big AoE that persists and can be launched off pretty much right away, she could be really, really good in Arena for that, while again, giving out the best Slayer for the job. So, yeah, in general, can be really good. Now, the unique thing that you would not see in her kit is that she can be a machine gunner, basically. So there's this interesting thing you can do called skill canceling. I know Tweaks recently put out a guide, I think today actually, of how to do it with her. So if you're interested in this, I highly recommend checking out that video because he did a really excellent job with that breakdown. But basically, skill canceling, the way that it works is if you have a skill such as her S1, which requires line of sight, which means you have to move vertically in line with your target in order to use it. So the fact that you need to move, that movement can break your regular attack animation. So normally you could click regular attack, and on the normal cooldown, you'll throw out your attacks, maybe at a rate of like 1 every second and a half or something. But what you can do is you can use a regular attack and then hit S1 to try to move into range of your S1. It breaks the animation from your auto attack. And then you can use a regular attack, since you're now moving, in order to use another one. And then you can basically spam those really, really, really fast as long as you have the cadence down. And all you really need to do for the cadence is just tap them both at the same exact time. That's really like the optimal way to do it at this point, because Adis tried to nerf it and fix it, and they just failed miserably. So it never really got nerfed. It just didn't. It didn't get nerfed.
Don't say you fail because they're gonna try to fix it. Like,
I'm just saying, like, if their intention was to nerf it, it failed. I'm hoping they were just cleaning some things up a little, and now it's working as intended, which means this is going to be around for the foreseeable future, which is great. Let's have fun with it. Thanks, Adis. It's a feature, not a bug. You love to see it. If they really wanted to fix it, they would just make the S1 be non-line of sight.
Yeah,
that's it. It's a buff to the S1 for intended use, and then it stops the skill spam. But I'm totally happy with this being here because it can be really exciting for applying ailments as well as regular attack DPS. Other than, like, before Luke, nobody other than her was good at regular attack damage. She's still the queen of it. Like, not even close. Like, people have probably seen some of the silly things Luke can do with, like, a perfectly optimized build for regular attacks. And she just blows past that. She's so good if you can min-max it. Now, the catch, it's basically only for iOS. And definitely not on Steam. Because you basically need, like, 2 fingers to be able to do it. So, like, a mouse click, you're not going to be able to do this. And on Android, the frame rates are so incredibly shit, you're not going to be able to do it reliably. Mm-hmm. So instead of a stream of bullets, it's going to be like burst fire mode. So like you can do it kind of, but you're not going to be doing the crazy things you see in clips where you're just memeing on bosses and just like streaming HP pools down. But
outside of that, also she's also a very, very good ice unit.
Yeah, I would say other than Summer Leona, she's the best ice DPS that we have. And if you exclude mages, of course, because like you could just run a mage with ice damage. But as far as physical DPS, they're pretty slim pickings, and she is definitely up there as one of the very, very best.
And also, if you decide not to go for her this time around, I believe she should be in the Valentine's Day.
Assuming we get the Valentine's banner again, she will be in there because she was there last year.
And that will be a 30K ticket after 30K.
Yeah. So. Or maybe they'll even make it better and it'll only be 15.
That's
probably not.
That's true.
I'm assuming 30, but they have one time
and then be surprised when it's
15. Yes, that's what I'm doing because they did that one time. They gave us that 15K pity, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, I'm not gonna. This is not the normal. There's no way they're gonna give this to us often. Maybe that's an anniversary thing or something, like a very special occasion. They might do that. So I'm just gonna assume 30K pity, which is still a great rate. So. If you already have Theria and you really want her, you could just save if you don't want to go for RNG. So, and then on that banner, you would have a chance also at getting DOH units and such as you're doing your summons, which is nice. Versus right now, where in the background, it's just general pool with some Christmas stuff. So, something to consider.
Definitely.
Let's see.
You have a great event also.
Especially on the back of the last one, which kind of sucked. Like we got some good units with the Tails collab, but as the recent collabs have shown us, they don't put much effort into the event, sadly, and they just are boring and dull and like the same shit, and it's really annoying for the most part. Like we get some cool units, but that's kind of it, is a unit dump. Yeah. But we got Sun Vessel back for this. They did a light decoration of this, making it all winterized, so that's cute. You know, I like that. I like that little bit of effort. You know,
definitely
not bad at all. So we get all the common conveniences that we normally have. So like the limit break fields, of course, if anybody doesn't like running multiplayer limit break fields, which nobody should, make sure to farm these up because these are just really great. Instead of costing you 2 to do multiplayer and then have relatively low drop rates to get the big fancy stuff, which is this stuff. So your big drops like your feathers, these are on a 30% drop rate, and you can steal from the boss for 30% drop rates, and it costs you only 1 event orb, and you can do it solo. Like, it's just a no-brainer. It's so good. Now, as opposed to other sun vessels, there's kind of some other choice, because before I would just tell people, just run these, don't worry about the rest of the event, because it doesn't really matter. This is just too high value to skip, because we don't know if it's coming back in 1 month or 3 months or whatever. While sun vessels here, farm up that limit break stuff. But it was pointed out to me that at the end of a bunch of these event stages, we also get boxes. And you can cut open these boxes with some shears that you get from the event. And these give you all sorts of goodies too. So we'll go ahead and open some of these. So
Damn,
mega
good
clusters.
job.
Some of these we got
Yeah,
grimoires.
Grimoire?
Look at this.
That
We
was a good
got
one, man.
high tier Godforge mats. Like, they're pretty good.
Damn.
But let's go ahead and take a look down at some of these ones. Very basic blues, right? So let's just open some of these and see what kind of crap we get.
They're a little bit lower tier.
Hey, some upgrade shards for weapons. I hear a lot of people need things like that for Godforge. So you could technically have a farm that's not time gated that allows you to get things like weapon shards. So you could just go and keep farming these and then just open a shitload of blues. You need some slightly stronger ones. I'm pretty sure reds give you the upgraded ones. Let's go ahead and check. I didn't get any
That's
drop on them.
crazy. No, you got 3 eyeballs on that one.
Well, yeah. I was talking about the actual weapon upgrade
Oh,
things,
yeah.
but looks like I didn't get any off. Oh, it's the yellows. That's why, because I'm an idiot. So if I open we'll just open up all these. There. So look, now you got some of the big shiny ones here. So yellows and blues. So the blues give you the lowest tier, and the yellows actually give you the higher enhance of the weapon and armor shards and stuff. So that's a lot of good stuff. And for a newer player too, coming in here, you can complete all these event things, because as usual, they give you NPCs to use. So you can just use a top tier one. There's none of these stages you can't beat. It's just the standard farmable 2 event orb stage. So you could just come and just keep getting presents, and make sure to come check the map for chests and like floating things that you can mess with, and like messages in a bottle. I can't find any more because I usually get all mine. But there's things around the map you can click on, basically. Open that shit up. You get a bunch of free resources to help level up your units, which you'll need, because I did start a new account just to try with Maley.
Oh, okay.
So I re-rolled a new account just to see how new player experience would be with her. And it's a good time to start the game because of the new start dash, which we'll talk about. However, building new units isn't super ideal outside of this event. Because there's just not any promotions that give you good unit upgrade stuff. Like, there's no rainbow potions for free.
Right.
There's no like promos that are giving you a whole bunch of crystals for free. Even like right now, when I was trying to run some stuff, there wasn't even like ability gates open. So you almost have to rely on an ability gate being opened, and then leech multiplayer runs with someone in order to reliably get crystals to upgrade your units. So it's kind of rough if you're a brand new player from that perspective. So the best option that you have is to come in here and just use all your event orbs on these things. Whenever you get more event pots, come and just spend them to run these more, and then get presents and open up presents, and that will hopefully help you to go in and get some stuff. And then, of course, we have a trading space for it. We talked about the scythe. As far as scythes go, for dark units, it's a good scythe. No complaints. Holy Bell. It's a light hammer that's the same as the other one, which is cool. Also, notably, it has 10 MP, which this might be the only hammer in the game with MP. For the anniversary, we got our first axe with some MP on it. This is our first hammer, so for anybody that cares, that's a fact.
Definitely.
Santa top hat. Duration of buffs and debuffs plus 5%. Not mad at that with 30 MP. We've seen effects like that before, but having more options is neat. Would have been cool to see a slightly higher percentage, but we'll take it. They added a prism for all the new units, so I was really excited to see that. I will take expat prisms any day of the week.
Oops.
It's pretty great. We got some more god relics, so make sure to buy those up.
God relics.
For sure, get that shit. And then if you've bought up everything anyway, and you're just sitting there farming the presents, especially if you're a new player, you could just come and spend all your extra medals to just get more shears. So this, outside of things you can find on the map, this is the other place that you get shears to be able to open those boxes up. You could just drop coins here when you get there. White Christmas, make sure to just grab your free version of the Ark. It's only 150. If you want to max ether it, you can go ahead and buy 10 of them. Cool. I also have some of these from past events. Santa Yulton form. Cool. It's got some ice and dark res. Staff, or a spear rather, light spear plus physical damage against undead. Not that great, but it's fine. We got some other souls. We got a lot of just general stuff. As far as upgrading your unit, again, this is the main place to come. You can come grab some of this stuff, and you can get a fair amount of your unit's ability board unlocked. And also notably stuff from last year. So some other gear. We've got I can't look at these, but the Yule Fest bow. So if you're getting expat, 2 very good free things here. So the bow has just plus ice damage on it and its ice attribute for her regular attacks. Dual blasters, plus like 4% crit rate, I believe, and it's ice, which is great. Mistletoe is really great for some jank builds. It allows you to apply silence to your character. So if you wanted to do something strange that benefits your party because you have somebody die, you can run it in Cursed Ring. So I really love that piece of gear. So I'd grab it in case you want to do some weird strategies that involve that. And everything else is all just kind of generally decent. So generally grab the gear because you never know what's good or not.
You want to go first.
Otherwise, you'll be waiting a year. Prisms are definitely first priority, in my opinion. I would grab expat and Maley. Expat first, probably, just because even if you don't have her, maybe you'll get her in the future. And you want to have them just in case. So good shit. Good rewards overall. Ability tower. Anybody that's able to clear these level 100 challenges, I mean, this is just 3 free ability gate runs every single day. Yeah. Bring your Yashimaru or Beast Hunter if you just want to do bare bones. Go through and clear these 3 a day. It's just a bunch of free crystals. Drill house. As usual, we usually see the drill house. This is where we spend tickets. You've got your X amount a day. Make sure to go spend those. It's just cheap tickets for big value. That's your AP training, your XP training, and free 50 souls. You can steal on it to get an extra 20 mother souls. Otherwise, it's just 10 mother souls. I usually just do soul accumulation because 50 a day is pretty great. And I generally don't need the other shit. But,
Yeah, I need souls right now, so...
Yeah, so
I'm actually don't using more of the special souls at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah, because I'm trying to do the Godport stuff, so it's like 120 souls per unit.
Now, I have been told by multiple people. I didn't test myself, so I'll cross my fingers and hope it's correct. But these actual core stages can't be stolen from. So like Beast Hunter, wasting your time on it doesn't matter. You can just full auto through these ones. The presents don't matter. So the only place that Beast Hunter does matter is if you decide to farm the Limit Breaker, so you don't have to do bullshit multiplayer stuff later. I personally, every time Sun Vessel comes back, I make sure to have at least 50 of all the rare things. That's just my personal goal. Because I do not want to have to waste event orbs or time running this bullshit with anybody.
92.
Yeah, I think I got over 100 the last time of each of these, and like I don't get enough new units to really have it matter, so I got 100 of them, and I'd shoot for getting I got 104 of those things too. So that's the only reason I have that many, is because this is so plentiful. Like if you have nothing else to spend event orbs on, like just make a full auto team for this. What I like to do is I'll run Yashimaru, I'll run Murren with divine skill or divine right skill, so that he only auto attacks, so he doesn't steal kills from Yash. And then I'll take alt cast speed off my Maja, or some people could do Slag. And then basically it gives Yash like 10 seconds per wave to steal from everybody, and then a nuke drops in, and I just full auto. That's what I do. And generally I just I have like a 90% or more steal rate on like everybody, and wave clears pretty consistently, and things are all great. So if you want to just speed clear and like Beast Hunter the final wave, you could totally do that too. You can get through these pretty quick, but I'm lazy, so I just hit play and then leave my phone sit while I go do something else, and then I'll come back and just rerun it and burn through all my orbs. That's just what I do. So works well enough for me, but everybody can do their own thing. So yeah, good event overall. The other big thing that people might care about is the Start Dash banner got a long-awaited refresh, which mine is not available, so we'll just have to talk about it.
What?
So yeah, mine's gone already. It's only there for like 72 hours or something.
Oh, your Start Dash. Sorry.
Yeah, Start Dash. Yeah, Start Dash. So anyway, when new players start the game, you have like 72 hours to have a special banner where unit rates are doubled, and there's 4 featured units. The last one we had was basically useless. It was like Baran, and it was just a bunch of useless shit. It was like Baran and Rabala and some other units that just for the most part it didn't matter. Like there was no reason to roll on the start dash at all. But now we have Roland, who is an amazing hybrid unit. His DPS isn't super up there, but he does a really good amount of damage still, and is a tank, and can be your dedicated healer. He's just a heavy amount of value for a new account. Theria, who remains being the most broken healing support survival unit in the entire game. Mega high value. Every single account wants her. If you don't, I don't know, you just really like to challenge yourself more, which is fine.
She's about to turn 2, isn't she?
I think she's more than
2 years?
2. Dude, she's 3 now, right? She's probably about 3.
Oh man.
Wasn't she like end
I could have
of
sworn it was year. No, I think no, it's 2 years because I believe she wasn't the first year, and then it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty. I think it was the end of the first year.
Was it end of the first year, really?
I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure
But
that's
yeah,
where the timeline
let's
is.
just say over 2 years, and
She's super fucking old, and
yeah,
she's still a top tier unit. So
nuts.
she's in the start dash. Alice, the good Alice, where basically the only thing she's good at is dropping special damage nukes on people, but she's the best in the game at doing that, outside of Yuri when his caps are broken. But that's besides the point. Legit, she drops the biggest special damage nukes on people, and it's not even close. So she's in there if people wanted her. And then Shift Balin they dropped in it. He's not even in the background general pool of DOH banners yet. He's fresh enough. And he is pretty unarguably the best easy mode button DPS carry for any fresh account to just plow through content.
He's nasty.
He's just the full package. You know, he's got an SCT battery, he's neutral attack damage, he's really fucking tanky. He's got 10 fucking slayers, all relevant to PvE. Dude's just a monster.
Yeah.
He's an absolute monster, and you can get him in there. So for rerolls, I'm sure the reroll guide has been updated, but like it doesn't even really matter who's on banner most of the time. You can now, while this is the roster, you could just go for that start dash banner and just try to get like Balin and Theria, and just be good to go. You're solid. And if you go that route, then you want to get March of the Saints, ideally, in your infinite reroll, because that's like the only thing Balin really needs to be completely cracked. So yeah, good stuff. I love that start dash banner.
And I've been seeing like I was on Zero. I've been seeing some of the craziest pulls I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Zero shared one on the Discord, and the guy he pulled every unit, right?
Yeah, well, mine was he already had Theria.
Oh, okay.
So he only needed the other 3, and he got all 3 in one pull.
And a dupe of one of them, I think. Wasn't it?
Maybe there might have been a dupe. No, it was those. But then he also got 2 SSR arcs, one of which was Pirate Ship, which was one of the most desired arcs in the game too. It was really great. But yeah, all the units on that start dash are at like a 1% rate, which is really nice. So instead of 0.8% chance, it's 1%, and it's on 4 units. So there's a 4% chance of getting one of the featured units every pull, which is reasonably high, which is why we'd see things like that.
Yeah.
So overall, very, very good. Yeah, I think that's the main things that I had for it. I guess people would question, is it worth doing that start dash banner because it was only available for 72 hours, but everybody gained access to it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good for older players to do it if they needed some of the things? I would say it's probably worth if you need like everyone on there. Like maybe you're missing Balin and Roland and Theria or something, especially I'd say if you don't need specifically Balin and Theria both, probably don't. But there's no pity for it at all. And it's still RNG, even though the RNG is much better. So like maybe throw a little bit at it, but I probably wouldn't just go broke trying to chase for Theria when you could just simply save and do the pity banner on Valentine's Day to get her. Guaranteed, you know, instead of taking a chance and throwing them all away.
And so Balin might be on White Day, maybe.
He'll definitely be there. He'll be there for sure.
So.
Yeah. I would be astonished if he wasn't. We should be getting his paid gear come January.
Yeah.
Which means we're definitely in that window where he should be available on White Day if you want him. So.
Which I recommend doing that probably.
If you're gonna do something, sure. Yeah. But at the same time, like I feel like if you're an account that's already been existing, especially if you were here for like the Tales of Collab or DMC Collab, like you have other DPS units, you're probably relatively far in the game. You probably don't need Balin. Like he's kind of just quality of life. He's like trying to get like He's like trying to get Maja if you already have Lennius. Like, yeah, things would be like more brain dead and like you wouldn't have to try as hard, but like he probably doesn't really help you much outside of letting you be a little lazier in content.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Unless like you're completely missing a no attribute attacker altogether and like you've really, really been struggling with that. Or he's just like your favorite character because he's a complete badass and you just want him just because you want him, then awesome. That's why those banners are there. But yeah, objectively, I don't think that you need to go out of your way if you're an existing player, probably. That's already like gotten pretty far and has a really established account with like other DPS that are just better at DPS.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a bad take. I don't know. But
no, I agree. It's kind of hard, man, because I mean, what if you did like go broke? Let's say you went 30K deep and didn't get anything, like, and then knowing that
exactly.
White Day is right around the corner and you could
Yeah.
guarantee the one
You
when
could have
you were,
just been patient.
yeah.
Could have
So
been
and we're
patient.
like maybe a month and a half, 2 months away from that. So
Yeah, it's not that far away.
that's not far away at all. I would have
Totally.
I would have done one to 2 pulls, called it. You know,
Yeah.
best of luck to you on that one. And then, you know, wait for the White Day or Valentine's, whoever you're missing, you know, in your
Yeah.
sets. Same thing
Totally.
with expat. If you don't want to go for that 15K right now, which I definitely recommend it. It's super
Yeah.
solid.
I mean, if you got it, and you want her, like just think about the things that she offers. So again, the core things is like her as a
Yeah.
unit in general. So like her intended use with her skills, which is a pretty good kit, but not like crazy high DPS, but she's a
Right.
good ice unit.
Yeah.
She's got some amazing wallpaper art. So, you know, if you care about that, she looks nice.
Yeah.
Can't argue with it. If you're on iOS and you want to do the auto attack cheese, that's a massive reason to go after her. Because it's literally just like another huge like tool in your arsenal to be able to utilize, which is really, really nice. And she does solve, when she's applicable, she solves problems very, very well with that tactic. But it's just niche use. And then the third value is just that quality of life of not needing to Slayer swap if she's in the party. Your main DPS just always has the right Slayer for the job and is doing more damage across the board to anybody of that type for the first 40 seconds, which is just nice. So like for me, whenever we get new story content, I go in with V, Tink, and Theria. And my V just jumps up to like 23K caps, and he always has the right Slayer, and he just cruises through content for me. It's just brain dead easy because she lets you do that.
Also, Santa Girls is the only arc with Ice Mega Boost. If you guys are Ice DPS, like your Magic with Lagerboast, if you're using Ice DPS, the only way to get Ice Mega Boost is through Santa Girls. So, also an amazing looking arc. Huge.
Yeah.
It's got awesome art.
Yeah, it's some good stuff. Now, I will preface, this is not a chaseable skill. This is a luxury skill.
Yeah.
This is not like an auto include on a build or something like that. It's just another tool that if you happen to get this, that's not a bad thing to have available. I think Christmas Carol's another one of those where I actually think that apply a buff that's a minus 10% damage taken that just slowly falls off for only 5 SC. That's probably really good in Arena. So just throwing that out there. That's pretty solid. So if you happen to get that arc, good value. This is the present I was talking about that was really fucking dumb. Plus 40% buff, but at random. Stupid shit. All right. So dumb. What was the other one? Wishes on a Holy Night. I believe this one had a good ether reward. It's basically a free. Good. Yeah, so it's got really good. It's got some nice resists on it for free, and then it's got a free awaken effect too, which is really nice.
Look at those resistances though. Dang.
Yeah, and a little bit of MP.
Yeah.
So like that's pretty solid. I think that by itself is pretty good. And then illumination every 10 seconds you get a damage reduction.
Wall.
I think it's basically a wall. I'm not a huge fan. That's not too crazy. Radiance on a Holy Night, also not very crazy. None of the rest of these matter much. Quick Trigger used to matter. I just don't think that it's usually worth in most builds. It's just so expensive for what it does. Unless you have a very specific goal in mind. And there's other sources of Quick Trigger these days too if you really wanted it.
Definitely.
But yeah. If you happen to get those, again, for 15K, you get one of those two. I would say Santa Girl's probably the highlight between the two. Just for Christmas Carol, if nothing else. But
you do get some return because Theria was an older unit, so you get crystals for leveling her up. So it's you get some crystals back for that as well. plus the
Yeah.
1,000 for leveling up to 100. If you get the Arc 2, there's more crystals in that as well. So
And again, these are all generic metals, which means they go with the melee one as well.
exactly.
So then you can come in here and you can use these basic metals, and then you'll get some extra summons to try to get melee too. So if you were going for them, you can also come in and you can grab some more depending on how many summons you've done. You can get even more tickets. So I'm glad that they didn't make them be like redux metals versus standard metals. It's
Seriously,
just
yeah.
it's just cleaner that way.
It's a very
Um,
clean event. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
yeah. I mean, I'll never be mad when we get Sun Vessel. Like it's still a boring event, but Sun Vessel is a high quality, good quality of life event.
Mhm.
So I'm never mad when we get Sun Vessel, even if it's boring, because it's just good for the community to have access to the Sun Vessel Island. All right, I feel like that's pretty much all we have to talk about, right?
Yeah, no,
I don't think
that's
there's anything
yeah,
else
that
fancy going on.
no, that's it. Just one unit,
Awesome. Um,
the step up, and then the event.
oh, I haven't done it yet, but we can now have guild rooms in multiplayer,
Oh
so that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I forgot that's the thing, and we also have an arena breakdown now, and we have up to 20 instead of only 15
Oh,
for your battle log.
the free hero ticket. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, we got a free hero ticket as
Yeah,
well.
thank you. That's
And the gotcha for that sticks around permanently, which
yeah,
we've seen a few times. So
mhm.
the fact that it's just not going to go away now is probably just cleaner.
And it's a pretty cool event,
But
man. Hero
yeah,
ticket, 15K pity.
yeah,
Oh, that was really good stuff.
Melee Christmas to all of us.
What is that? What does
So
that mean?
we get a new breakdown of like amount of damage taken, healed, and then dealt out, which is cool. So you can kind of see a breakdown of how those things are actually working in addition to your normal replays. So you can kind of assess how your units are doing and how the value is.
Really
So
cool.
that's cool. And in your battle log, like instead of 5, we have like a whole bunch.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we get to backtrack like 20 of them. So
Awesome. How did you
yeah.
do last arena? Did you go all the way? Did you do what you wanted to do? Top 50?
Um yeah, I just made top 100.
Oh, okay, okay.
I didn't have the willpower to do 50 after I got screwed on the last one. There was just no way. I might do it this time though,
Okay.
because on the tail end of the last one, I felt like I got my offense and defense straightened out, so I actually
Yeah.
have a decent
This
defense
looks
rate,
like
so
a
it's not working against
fun
me.
setup you have here, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just full auto. I just love
Yeah.
my full auto mages, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
no. They've actually become more dominant and very annoying.
they can be, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a matter of like some things counter other things, and that's
yeah.
just how it is.
But
Like they still get wrecked by hyper aggro if I'm not careful or whatever, but
but really good
um,
against tank teams, all right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And also, basically, their biggest flaw is if there's like multiple big AOE things that can fuck me.
Mhm.
So like, basically, like if there's a Roy and a Shift Lagrabos and an Amelia, or even like basically Shift Lagrabos and Amelia together on a team is just like the bane of my existence. Because like she'll have the follow up to come like afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, frame rates galore. It's so good on my Steam with my computer. But either way, we full auto and stuff. See what these guys are doing. But I really like this current setup that I have because I have them both Eliza and Lenny are on the same more or less cast cadence for the most part, where if they don't die, they
Mhm.
both start casting at like 8 seconds, and they both do single target nukes. So it's almost impossible for God Heal AI to happen. So I almost never see God Heals anymore.
That's good.
Either I lose or they just are completely getting tanked and crushed instantaneously.
Yeah. Either way,
And
it's
it's good. It's
fast. Either way, you're going for speed. Fast,
exactly.
either
So
fast death or
it's pretty
fast
good.
win. Yeah, no,
And it's full
yeah,
auto.
yeah, I got
So,
it. Yeah,
it
nice.
works. It works out.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
I like
So,
it. I like it.
and for anybody that didn't see it, I did put out my first arena guide video in a long ass time. So I did one on DPS mages. So if you're ever bored and you want to go check that out, feel free to do that.
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh, yes, these are cool. What's my defense doing? Whew, down at 33%. That's pretty bad. I kept bouncing between about 50 and 60%.
Mhm.
Clearly, it's starting to head downhill though. So I might have to go and tinker with that.
And then the make sure if you guys are chasing URs dust UR shards, make sure the trading space did get updated and it's increased points. So make sure you get your 450 a day at least, so that you can get your UR orb pretty here shortly. Actually, next reset should be
Yeah, we'll be up to another one,
mm-hmm.
which is good.
It was really good.
Yeah, very excited for that. So
But
good
other
stuff.
than that, yeah, I think that would be it for this podcast today.
Cool. I will say since we were just on Arena. I am disappointed that any other changes are probably a long ways out on Arena. So we had our 3 Arena updates that were on the roadmap.
Mhm.
We have now gotten the third of the ones that we had planned, and the third one was this damage monitoring and more fights being visible. That's not shaking up the arena at all. That's not changing things. It's not changing the scope of how we think about Arena. So that's a little bit sad.
Yeah.
Maybe when Guild v Guild comes in, maybe they'll incorporate like Arena somehow, and that maybe that would be some sort of a reason to give a fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm disappointed. It could very well be 6 months to a year before we get any changes in Arena from this point, which I'm really sad about.
Yeah.
How it goes.
Now it's just a
So I like
grind.
Arena. I think more and more people are liking Arena just because it's as fun as you kind of make it be, and especially with guilds and people in Discord. There's a lot of communications that can make it be a more enjoyable experience, even though it feels like cancer to others who maybe don't understand it, or maybe even that do understand it and realize that it's just a time sink to rank high. It's not actually a skill based thing. Like there's skills that you can min max the time sink, but it's still just a fucking time sink. You have to know life the game to rank high. You don't have to be the best player,
No.
which is just annoying. So yeah, not changing anytime soon, unfortunately. But you know, at least you can go for top 50, I guess.
Get your dust.
Which, as predicted, the barrier to entry for top 50 is basically what old top 10 used to be. Like you're still
Yeah.
gonna need like
17,
18.
18.
Yeah, like yeah, depending on the season, probably somewhere between that 17 to 20K to make top 20, which is still just insane. I still want them more than anything to just make it be that the important rewards like you are dust is just a flat amount. Like make it be like 15K, 20K, every single player on the server that gets over X amount of trophies just gets those rewards. And then ranking themselves could just be vanity rewards for like a special diamond stamp or border or like some extra gems or some shit. Like people that want to rank can do that, but then like everything else should be more accessible. I fucking hate moving goalposts for things that people actually care about. It's just annoying.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
really annoying. So not a fan.
yeah.
But at the
I
same
agree with that
time,
method. I like that. I like that. So if you
yeah.
don't feel like you're just like the other day we were okay. So we were it was the before the maintenance, and I didn't play. I guess we were messing with time trials, and I just didn't play for one day, and I went from like 33 to like
Mhm.
45K in like 4 hours. So I ended up having to stay
Yeah.
up till 9 a.m. making sure that I didn't get pushed back. Like it was bullshit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if your method would work, and I was guaranteed. I already had my
Yeah.
18K or whatever, and I got my yard dust, and I'm good, right? I put my time, Adis. I gave you my time. I played your game. That's what you guys want. Is you want more people to play your game. Give me my shard.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
give me my orb.
People want, like, if you're going to work hard, you should get rewarded for it. It shouldn't be, hey, I
Yeah,
spent, cumulative 20,
yeah.
30 hours grinding Arena, and then I made 52nd place, so I get fucked.
Ah, man, I'm so sorry, dude.
Dude, it's just so shitty.
Yeah,
It's just so dumb.
that's bad, man. And then
And
the
it's
maintenance mess you up. You'll never. Yeah, no.
yeah, it's just frustrating. And
Yeah,
like it's not just for me. Like there's a whole bunch of people that like I
yeah.
guarantee that's the case. Like you get pushed out last minute from like snipers
Yeah.
that came in and just like kind of crept on the
It was
outskirts.
4 hours, 4 hours, bro. And
Yeah.
I was like 12 paces behind. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And then
It's absolutely crazy.
I pushed like I was playing God of War or whatever, right? And because the game, I'm trying to beat it, and
Yeah.
like so I stopped playing for like 2 hours, and I got to like 38. I was like, all right, I'm good. I get back on. I'm 47 again. I'm like, okay, we're not sleeping tonight. We're gonna have to make sure to see, because I didn't spend all this time just to get pushed back at the last second.
Mhm.
So I ended up like losing like getting 4 hours sleep that night because of that damn maintenance.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then I think a good reminder for some people though is like think about the time that you're really spending on this shit.
yeah.
Because we think about, oh, well, this is just free. If I can get this thing, it's free. But for a lot of people, time is way more valuable than money. In a lot of cases, it could be way, way better for you as a human being to spend like $100 on some paid package to get some UR dust than it is to spend like 30, 40 IRL hours to get $100 worth of value. That's a huge fucking waste of your time. to
That's
get a
true.
UR dust.
That's
Like when you put it into perspective, like you could put that into like just fucking getting a better job, and then you can just go buy the UR dust. Like, let's keep some IRL perspective. Like
adult stuff
think
right there.
think about it. Like you could literally just be a better adult and then just buy the shit you want and have more free time in your life. Just throwing that out there.
I'm a shit adult, man.
Anyway, all right. So I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this. So thanks for hanging around while we sit here and ramble at the end of episode 39.
Yeah.
I hope you all have some good pull luck with your Maley, or if you decide to go for the 50-50 on expat, whatever. May the rolls be with you.
Yeah. New content coming out. We have Christmas is about this. We should be getting our news for New Year's. New Year's usually comes with $100 banners. So, you know, again, UR dust packages. UR dust packages. You can just buy them. Probably.
That's the thing.
They'll probably be actually cheaper than $100. So yeah,
possibly.
Yeah, no, right? Learn how to be an adult, right? What is this right here?
If you're willing to spend money on pixels on your phone, maybe be willing to just spend it more than spending your time. Or reverse that. If you're willing to spend hours and hours on your phone, maybe be willing to spend some money instead. Think about it. What's more valuable?
There's a comment here for Arena Zero before we head out.
Let's do it.
Ryan Guy says, played multi with you a bit. Oh, awesome, Ryan. Oh yes, Ryan, I already remember you. I was wondering if you could recommend a good guy for setting up skills in Arena. Zero does have a couple of...
Yeah, it depends how early on you are. I made some really old Arena guides that if you're just getting into Arena, largely works and is helpful, but it just won't help you when getting into like super and the really hard stuff. The only thing I've made recently for it is my Mage DPS guide. I will be making more content, but I don't have a release schedule or anything for it. So I'll do things like building a physical DPS unit and different sorts of team comps and strategies and things like that. So I'll do some of that sort of stuff. So if you wanted to check out my channel, I've got some stuff over there that Zero plays. I think it's usually in the description or whatever, but I don't have a ton, but you can go at least get a sense of some of that stuff. In general, for Arena, it just comes to just stacking damage multipliers for the most part.
The throne. Don't listen
to the throne. Fair advice. Just don't do it. No, the real advice is if you're just getting started, get all of your wins every day so you can get your currency, so you can get spell render really fast and profit. Yeah, that helps you just climb quicker than anything. Just get spell render.
Overall, you want to buy spell render immediately.
Yeah, just get spell render. That's the best use of your Arena points, and then that'll just help you climb on its own.
Yeah,
and then build better as well.
Yeah, and also, you can probably getting to super might be a little bit easier this time around. Since we do have like a good, honestly, when it comes down to it, I think we would have to look at your characters as well to see what you have, how we could like set your units up and stuff like that. But Zero does that plays or that what do you do where you
playing doctor,
and maybe you can do one with Ryan.
Potentially, you can always reach out on Discord or whatever. I'll probably do some more playing doctor sessions when I have time, but I'm trying to actually make more videos now, so I will probably try to make actual content.
Oh, definitely.
In some regards, not that that's not, but for a while there, I was only doing playing doctor stuff. So.
You're so
awesome.
Throat.
So it looks like Ryan's already gotten to gold 1 at least a bit. So you've been playing a little bit at least.
Yeah,
it
seems like you know what you're doing. Honestly, you can
at least a bit. So.
Yeah, honestly, Ryan, if you can, we have both of our Discords, I believe, in the chat. So if you want to join either one, we can help you. Just kind of set you up for like a team to get you into super gold 1 at least. It should be pretty simple, honestly. It shouldn't be that much harder.
Yeah,
a lot of the units these days are pretty crazy.
If you're willing to manually play, Arena gets much easier. Yeah. You just learn to pick the right fights. You'll learn that there's certain units that are just going to fuck whatever your current team comp is, and you just avoid those, and then everything else is just super easy mode for the most part. So,
for my Vayne, I use Axe.
Vayne. There's a few options in Arena. Axe with Terror of the Grana Seas is really nice, just for that pierce and the massive strength boost. So that works. Axe specifically being the cerulean axe because it's just an
Yes.
amazing
Make sure
weapon.
you God Forge it.
Otherwise, if you want to be a little bit bruisery so that he doesn't get nuked quite as hard, I do like the spear. The Refaria spear is pretty nice, and then you could run a tankier arc. Right now, I have him on the Ganon arc personally.
Ooh. Yeah,
To
thank you.
just because he is vulnerable to fire, that's about like his only thing.
Mhm.
So let me see. I'm assuming I have him. Yeah, I currently have him on Refaria to just make him tankier.
Nice.
So yeah, those are decent options. Otherwise, you could just go straight damage too with something like Pure Blade.
Yeah.
He can run almost anything that you'd want. I'd argue you could even run something like Tech Blade just because all of his attacks are in that Megalon range.
Yeah, 30%. Using
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So,
So lots of options that you could go for if you wanted to.
yeah, if you were gonna use the, I think it's this one right here, and you can God Forge it to +40. I mean, look at these stats on it. So it's very, very, yeah. Axes are. I use axe on mine specifically just because I mean, look at that physical attack +20%. We don't really care about the break, but
Yeah,
and we don't care about
but
the
just
counter.
the raw strength
Yeah,
combined
that's
with that
insane.
20% is just brutal.
And then you get
So
a
good.
large boost from axe high boost. Yeah, just insane
Yeah,
numbers.
can't go wrong
Definitely
with
not.
that.
Copy what baby.
It's just so good. One of the best axes in the game.
Oh,
Notably, if you have Maley as well, this is also super duper good on Maley.
yeah.
If you hadn't guessed, this is
Yeah.
basically good on everyone. Like you don't even need to run axe like weapon boosts. If you just want to generally throw a weapon on somebody, you could just throw this on, kind of like Pure Blade. It's just good. So stats don't matter much, but if you got over 450 of them, it's pretty fucking good.
Yeah, and then like he was saying the Grana arc, that one gives you I think 40% skill damage. What was it again?
It's 40% strength
Strength.
at start
Yeah,
that like
that'll
diminishes
start.
over time. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is really good. That's not a buff. That's just passive, so it stacks with all your other shit. So if you have pride, if you have brave, it all ramps up.
Yeah.
And when your stats get like crazy high over your enemy, it starts magnifying your damage by a ton. And then when you add in that you can pierce and ignore like isn't it like a 40% chance to ignore 100%
It's
defense or some
pretty
shit?
nutty, man.
It's ludicrous,
Yeah.
like, the amount of, piercing that you get on that. I'll check Goldmine quick in case anybody was actually curious.
Yeah, piercing,
Um,
and then you get 40% at start. That's so. And look at the stats on it. Look at that
yeah.
STR on top
So
of that axe that you get already, and defense. You have everything that Vayne needs on this arc.
yeah. So it's pretty good. Like, again, I do think that it's if you're mainly going for damage and you don't care about survivability as
Right,
much, that's
right.
kind of the main time.
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, it's a 40% chance to ignore 50% of defense, which is really good. So
really
basically,
good.
you don't care about any other piercing effects. If you have that, that's gonna be more than enough
Right.
usually, just flat out. So, good shit.
But other than that, all right. Looks like we're gonna be cutting it off here. Guys, like I said, channels, Zero's channel is in the description down below. So make sure you guys follow him. He's gonna be doing a lot more videos now. I eat my as well. Both our Discords, Jawline's YouTube as well, because he's out right now currently. But thank you guys so much for stopping by. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Sorry for the weird start. But we'll be back not this next week, but I believe the week after we should have a unit reveal or something. I don't know. This is kind of a
It'll probably be New Year's banner,
New
would
Year's
be my
banner.
guess.
Yeah,
We'll probably get the New Year's banner, and we'll be talking about that. So,
definitely, guys. Again, thank you so much. You guys have a great night. Be safe, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.
bye.